Guys, welcome back. We're going to go through number 9. So Daniela works in a shop. She served 50 customers in the morning, 75 customers in the afternoon. The mean time to serve the 50 customers in the morning is given, and the mean time to serve all the customers throughout the day is given. And they want us to work out the mean time to serve the 75 in the afternoon. So I'm going to use a table for this one. I'm going to have the first row for morning customers. I don't know why this is being so laggy. And then afternoon underneath. And then I'll just put all day. And I'll just put in brackets next to those how many customers there were. Okay, so I've got total time here and average time. So the average we're told for the 50 was 48.7 seconds. Now we can work out the total time by doing 48.7 times 50. So you put up a calculator. So that's 2,435 seconds. And we can do that for the all day customers as well. So we're told 50.2 seconds was the average. We times that by 125. That's 6,275. Now we can work out the total amount of time taken to serve the afternoon customers, because it has to add up with the morning customers to make the total amount of time altogether. So if we do 6,275, take away the 2,435 from the morning, that means it must have taken 3,840 seconds to serve the afternoon customers in total. And if we divide that by the 75 of them that there are, that gives us a mean time of 51.2 seconds. Number 10, we've got a table showing some information about the number of times each student in a class was late last week. So first part of that, what was the modal number of lates? Now I often find that when we get a question like this and it's a table and we change the word mode for modal, people sort of forget what it means. So my advice is that it always makes a lot more sense if we just replace this word with most common. What was the most common number of lates? And then people aren't going to start looking at things like this and saying, oh, well, there's 2 3s, so the answer is 3. The most common number of lates, I mean, 0 lates happened 15 times, 1 late happened 8 times, and you can see it sort of goes down from there, but the most common number of lates was 0, which is reassuring as a teacher. Okay, work out the mean number of lates per student. Now, the tempting thing to do here is just to add up this column, because you might think that will tell you the total number of lates, but that won't. Those are just the options. Okay. What we instead need to do is say that 15 people were late 0 times. So that is 0 lates. 8 people were late once. So that is 8 lates right there. 3 people were late twice. So that is 6 lates altogether. Some of you might have cottoned on that what we're doing here is timesing these together and writing our answers over here. We are often given a lot of free space to the right of these questions for doing this, or sometimes even very generously they've added on a column for us to do it. Okay, so you can call this column whatever you like. Sometimes we just call it lates times frequency. I'm just going to call it total lates. Okay, so 3 people were late 3 times, so that's going to be 9 lates altogether. 1 person was late 4 times, so that's 4 lates altogether. Now, the total number of lates altogether is the sum of those, so that's going to be 14, 18, 27. Okay, and I need to divide that to find the mean by the number of students. It even says here per student. What a lot of people do is just divide by the number of rows for some reason. Okay, so we need to find out how many students there are, and we'd find that by adding up the frequency column. We could change the word frequency for number of students, couldn't we? So when we add those up, 15 add 8 is 23, 26, 29, 30, and that sounds about right for a class, doesn't it? If I was getting a number like 60, I'd be concerned that I've done something wrong there. So that would be quite a big class. So 27 divided by 30 is 9/10, or 0.9. And we can have a decimal as a mean. It still tells us information. So just because you can't have 0.9 lates for one person doesn't mean it's not a good mean average. Okay, work out the median number of lates, so the middle number of lates. We basically need to order these students in terms of lateness, and that they already are, and we need to find the middle student. So if there are 30 students, we need to find the fifth, well actually between the 15th and the 16th, let me just check there are 30 students. 23, 26, 30, yep, okay. So the median number of lates is 0.5. Okay, because it is actually between the 15th and the 16th student, and the 15th one is here, the 16th one is in this row, and between 0 and 1 is 0.5. Number 11, we've got some information about the times in minutes 60 people took to get to work. Calculate an estimate for the mean. So quite similar to the question above here, I need to find out the total time it took these 5 people to get to work. But unlike the question above, there isn't just a single number in this column. There's a range of numbers. So these 5 people took between 0 and 10 minutes. So what should I times 5 by to find their total time? If I times it by 10, I'd get 50. If I times it by 0, I'd get 0. It's quite a spread. So what we have to do here is kind of bodge it a little bit and just assume that these 5 people all took the middle time of this group, so 5 minutes. So that's why there's 2 extra columns here. The first one is for midpoints. So the midpoint of that first group is 5. The midpoint between 10 and 30 is 20. Okay, and a quick way to find the middle number between 2 others is to add them together and then half the answer. So 30 plus 50 is 80, half of that is 40. 50 plus 80 is 130, half of that is 65. And 80 plus 100 is 180, half of that is 90. We're then going to say that these 5 people took 5 minutes to get to work. So in total, that would be 5 times 5, 25 minutes to get to work. Okay, so I'm going to call this total minutes. You could just call it frequency times midpoint if you wanted. If 11 people took 20 minutes to get to work, that would be 220 minutes. 23 people took 40 minutes. So this is the point where I'm starting to use a calculator. 920 minutes. 13 people took 65. 845. 8 people took 90, so that's 720 minutes taken to get to work altogether. So the total amount of time taken to get to work, we need to add these up. So we'll start at the beginning, 25 plus 220 plus 920 plus 845 plus 720, and that gives me 2,730. Now if I want the mean, I need to divide that by the number of people, and it tells us in the question there are 60 people. So whatever you do, don't divide ever on these questions by the number of rows that there are. Hopefully if you did, you'd spot that you got a number way too big in this case to be an average. If I divide that by 60, I get 45.5 minutes, and that's absolutely fine. That is within our data. It's in this group here, which is where a lot of our people are, so that sounds about right to me. Okay, I'm going to put a unit there, minutes. It's probably, implied in the question, so it's not necessarily needed, but there we go. Okay, next video on the next covers the next page.